So we're going to look at Newcastle's 1-1 draw with Gateshead, how we feel they did. I made some notes going throughout the game, so we're going to give a full run through of the game and touch on the comments that Eddie Howe made around Bruno and his future at the football club. So if you're new around here, I'm Adam, this is Two for Joy. Make sure you get down there, like, subscribe, hype, do all the good things. Otherwise, let's get into it. So I know most of you will be here just to hear the comments on Bruno and get a rough idea of where Eddie Howe's head is at. And to be honest, he was very vague, as Eddie Howe normally is. Very well media trained, and gave the comments along the lines of he expects Bruno to be back in training around the 31st of August. He expects him to be back with the team and resuming training as normal. But he said he couldn't comment on Bruno's future. Obviously, they want him to stay at the club. The players want him to stay at the club. He's been a great captain for us. And he said he'd spoke to Bruno throughout the World Cup, prior to the World Cup, throughout the World Cup and after the World Cup, but said those conversations needed to remain private. And I can understand this. Where I would say we're at is, without Arsenal placing a bid, it's all just speculation, and the media will keep this whirly-bird going and going. It's exactly what they want. It's current news, it's current drama around Newcastle United. But realistically, we don't know. Without Arsenal placing a bid and Newcastle defining a price, we don't know whether Bruno will leave this season. And my inkling is that he will. My inkling is that Newcastle need to lay down some groundwork and make sure they've got players in place or signed and through the door as a replacement for Bruno if they do plan to let him go. My reservation would be how much experience we let leave from this team before the start of the season with such little time to get deals done and gel these players together and rebuild this side. But what I will say about the 1-1 draw at Gateshead, realistically, there were players I thought that really stood out today and shone and showed some value and worth as coming through into this Newcastle first team. And there were some players there that, I'll be honest, I was really disappointed in, that looked like they didn't turn up at all. Disappointed with the performance, disappointed with the effort, and I get they're fatigued. They're right at the start of this pre-season training camp. They've probably had a gruelling test for the first couple of weeks, but players along the lines of Joe Willock I thought was poor today. Harvey Barnes I thought was poor today. Jacob Murphy realistically offered us nothing, and even Nick Pope, I thought Nick Pope was really poor for the few touches that he did have. He just doesn't look like he should be starting as our first team keeper come the start of this season, and hopefully that won't be the case. But I'll give you my run through of the game. And in the opening 15 minutes, Newcastle dominated possession. I'll be honest, I was a little bit disappointed that we set up in the typical 4-4-3. Eddie Howe not wanting to deviate from this formation. But we sat with Sean Sturr, the new signing, as a holding midfielder behind Joe Willock and Jacob Ramsey. Lewis Hall looked very lively in the first 15 minutes, providing Newcastle with a great outlet down the left-hand side. And Fabian Schär returns to the squad. And I'll be honest, I thought Fabs looked really good. The trademark crossfield passes were really the outlet in the first 15 minutes, with Gateshead remaining compact. And in that 15 to 30, Newcastle continued to control possession. Harvey Barnes and Jacob Murphy struggling to influence the game, which I found really disappointing. And Joe Willock having a really quiet opening half an hour. But a highlight of that first half an hour, I have to be honest, was Sean Neve working hard up front and linking up play, showing intelligent movement, creating space to get a shot off. I thought Sean Neve gave a really good account of himself in the first half an hour. And Sean Sturr impressing, I'll be honest, with the composure and the awareness and the ability to receive balls under pressure. I thought Sean Sturr today gave a really good account of himself. But in that 35 to 45 minute mark, Lewis Hall remains a standout performer. Sean Neve slips at a crucial moment, missing a good goal scoring opportunity. Alex Murphy, I thought he enjoyed a composed performance in the first half. He looked a little bit lightweight physically. And Leo Shahar appeared a little bit nervous on the ball, if I'm honest. And looks, I'd say, a little way off being somewhere near ready for the first team. But Fabian Schär gets pulled and by Gateshead forward. He falls down, handballs. Gateshead get a free kick. They've driven it into our wall. The ball's rolled out along the 6-yard box, and Nick Pope, as he's come out, it looks weak. We're out of position, defensively pretty poor, and Gateshead managed to squeeze the first goal of the game. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't say it was deserved, but I also wouldn't say that Newcastle deserved to keep a clean sheet. I thought we were a little bit defensively ropey. I don't think we looked very composed at the back. It looked a little bit disjointed with Alex Murphy and Leo Shahar. And obviously the typical standout performers being Fabian Schär and Lewis Hall. But going into the second half, I really wanted to see us just change it up. And kind of change formation, change system, try something different. But we carried on as we did in the first half. And again, Sean Sturr dictating play from deep, and I found he sat in a role very much like Sandro Tonali or like Bruno when Sandro's not in there, where he kind of drops back into that just in front of the defence, picks the ball up, receives it, picks a pass and tries to move us forward. But again, moving us forward, and I think it was around 60 minutes, Sean Sturr really tried to liven up the play, tried to start to move the ball a bit quicker and dictate a bit of tempo. And Joe Willock just absolutely killed this tempo. And I'll be honest, I just think he needs to move. Joe Willock needs to go. He's not the right player. But some of the youngsters in this squad I thought really impressed today. And I know we're only playing Gateshead, but Mason Miley came on for Leo Shahar at right back. Mateus Ferreira, and he's not a kid that I'm well aware of, but Mateus Ferreira came on to replace Sean Neve up front. And immediately he offered like a pace, energy, brought quite an aggressive press to the front line, and it was good to see. I don't think today's game was a bad match. It wasn't a typically bad game, but Newcastle did flatter to deceive when it came to creativity. We created a few chances, but nothing really clear cut, and we missed a couple of opportunities where the ball bobbled around the kind of 18 to 6 yard box. But Ewan Jowan came on at 75 minutes to replace Nick Pope, remained relatively untested. Trevan Sanusi on to replace Jacob Murphy. I really like Trevan Sanusi. I thought he gave a good account of himself for what little time he had. And the one that most impressed me coming off the bench, I have to be honest, is Park Sung-soo. And I have to be honest, I believe Park Sung-soo really needs to be given more time, more game time this season. And I'd like to see him come into the first team. Because if I'm honest, I thought Park Sung-soo could have done a job for us last season when we had Anthony Gordon out injured and we were playing Joel Linton out on the left wing, or Harvey Barnes not having somebody to rotate in and out. And Park Sung-soo, he's aggressive. He looks like he's physically stronger than he was previously. He runs directly at defenders. He cut open a lovely piece where he cut open like three players, went past three players and tried to lay the ball off, and it didn't come off. But the aggressive movement from him I thought was really impressive. And late on in the game, a fantastic ball chipped over the top from Alex Murphy. Lewis Hall came down the left side, cut the ball back as a cross. It hits a Gateshead defender. Unfortunately for them, goes straight over the top of their goalkeeper, who had, I'll be honest, the luckiest day of football probably in his entire career. He made some great saves. I won't take it away from him. He did make some great saves. But I overall, they had a lot of luck with them. I don't think it was a bad performance overall. I will mention as well, Miodrag Pivas came on at the back, and as a centre-back, I thought he looked really impressive, very calm under pressure. I would really like to see some of these players get more game time. But if I was given a full verdict, as a full-time performance for a 1-1 game, I think it was a useful pre-season exercise rather than a memorable performance. But the senior players particularly let us down today, and I really feel Joe Willock, Harvey Barnes, Jacob Murphy, Nick Pope. I felt Jacob Ramsey had a real 50-50 game. Like he looked good in spells, but never really quite got into it. But the biggest positives I can take from this are the young players. And I've been saying this. This is what I really want to see from this pre-season, is young players who want to play, who want to prove themselves. And I thought Sean Sturr, people will probably say I'm overhyping this. It's one game against Gateshead and he's just come in. But I thought he was outstanding for composure, his awareness, his football intelligence. You can see there's a real player in there, and given time to develop, I think he could be a really good talent. Lewis Hall, as always, Newcastle's most dangerous attacking outlet comes from left back. But Lewis Hall, I thought, was absolutely fantastic today. Sean Neve, big head nod to Sean Neve. I thought he was really good. And then obviously the Park Seung-soo. Park Seung-soo was fantastic, I thought, with the few minutes he was given. But my main concern around Newcastle going into the next kind of couple of friendlies into this pre-season is our tactical approach. And I'd really like to see Eddie Howe stop sticking to this familiar 4-3-3. These are the perfect games for Newcastle to try something different. The pre-season's still young. Supporters will be hoping for something much better, but I don't want to see us kind of slip back into this default negative football where we just hold possession and don't have the creative outlets. If this is the case that we're seeing this over the next couple of games, I think Newcastle really need to look at bringing in some creative talent should we lose Bruno, or even with Bruno, to be able to break down these low blocks that are going to come in the start of the season. And that's my biggest concern. I know a lot of people are worried about Basmana Touré not having the technical ability that some other wingers have. But realistically, as a like-for-like losing Anthony Gordon, Basmana Touré, he's got pace, he can use both feet, he can cut inside. I think he's going to fit in well. I think just give him time. It's one of those things where these players are being brought in to develop, and we have to understand that they're not going to come in as instant starters. The only player I genuinely believe is coming in as an instant starter and will make the grade is Bamba. I have high hopes. I have really high hopes for Al-Hadji Bamba. I just think this kid's got it all. His spatial awareness, his tackling, his quick feet, his size, his strength. I think he's going to be a really useful addition. But like I say, if you watched the game today, let me know down in the comments what you thought. Let me know if you think this is just minutes in the legs, or whether you're starting to worry that we played Gateshead and come out with a 1-1. And like I say, like, hype, subscribe, get involved. It's been great to get the amount of support I've had recently on the channel. Honestly, in 2 weeks, I've gone from 1,000 subscribers to 1,700. It's really, really promising. I love hearing all the comments from all of you guys. So thank you for watching. And hopefully, guys, I will see you in the next one.